and there will be a choking in the voice, so I shall not be able to utter your sweet holy name at the point of my death. The comparison is given in this way that the white swan, whenever it finds a lotus flower, it goes there and sports by diving into the water and entangling him in the stem of the lotus flower. So, King Kulasekhar wants that in the healthy stage of his mind and body, he may be immediately entangled with the stem of the lotus feet of the Lord and die immediately. The idea is that one should take to Krishna consciousness while his mind and body is in good condition. Do not wait for the last stage of your life. Just go on practicing Krishna consciousness while your body and mind is healthy stage, and then at the time of death you shall be able to remember Krishna in the healthy stage of his mind and be immediately transferred. He may be immediately entangled with the stem of the lotus feet of the Lord and die immediately. The idea is that one should take to Krishna consciousness
prana prayana samai kaphavata pitau kantavarodhana vidhau smaranam kutaste Krishna tadiya padapam kajapanjanadhutam addaiva visatume manarasya rajahansam prana prayana samai kaphavata pitau kantavarodhana vidhau smaranam kutaste.
This verse, prayer, is taken from one book known as Mukundamala Stotra. This prayer was offered by one king whose name was Kulasekhar. He was a great king, at the same time a great devotee. There are many instances in the history of Vedic literature that the kings were very great devotees, and they are called Rajarsis. Rajarsis means, although they are on the royal throne, they are all saintly persons. So this Kulasekhar, King Kulasekhar, is praying to Krishna that, my dear Krishna, the swan of my mind may now be entrapped with the stem of your lotus feet, because at the point of death, the three elements of bodily functions, namely the mucus and the bile and the air, they will overlap and there will be a choking in the voice, so I shall not be able to utter your sweet holy name at the point of my death. The comparison is given in this way that the white swan, whenever it finds a lotus flower, it goes there and sports by diving into the water and entangling him in the stem of the lotus flower. So, King Kulasekhar wants that in the healthy stage of his mind and body, he may be immediately entangled with the stem of the lotus feet of the Lord and die immediately. The idea is that one should take to Krishna consciousness while his mind and body is in good condition. Do not wait for the last stage of your life. Just go on practicing Krishna consciousness while your body and mind is healthy stage, and then at the time of death you shall be able to remember Krishna and his pastimes and be immediately transferred to the spiritual kingdom.
Krishna tadiya padapankaj panjarantam Krishna Kirtana Ganana Karnaparau Premamrita Vanidhi Veera Dhira Jana Prero Krishna Kirtana Gana Nartana Prabhu Premamritam Vanidhi Veera Veera Jana Priya Priya Karo Nimar Karang Pujita Chaitanya Kripa Bharau Bhubri Bhuba Bhara Tarakau Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujugo Sri Jiva Gopalakau Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujugo Sri Bhagavata Krishna Kirtana Gana Kirtana Gana Natana Param Prema Metamani Veera Veera Jana Priya Priya Karo Nirma Pujitam Chaitanya Kripa Bharau Sri Chaitanya Kripa Bharau Bhuvi Bhuva Bharava Antarakau Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghujugo Sri Jiva Gopalakau Charanai Kalpana Sadharma Samasthapaku Lokanang Hitakarinang Tribhuvane मन्नं शरण करो। विचारणैकनिपुना सद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणां त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणं करो। विचारणैकनिपुना सद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणां त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणं करो। श्री चैतन्य कृपाबरौ लोकानां हितकारिणां त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणं करो। विचारणैकनिपुना सद्धर्म संस्थापक लोकानां हितकारिणां त्रिभुवने मन्नं शरणं करो। राधा कृष्ण राधा कृष्ण पदारविन्दौ भजनामृतौ राधा कृष्ण पदारविन्दौ भजना नंदेन मत्तालिका वंदे रूप सनातनं रघुजुगौ श्री कृष्ण कीर्तन गान नटल परौ प्रेमा निधि वीर वीर जनप्रिय पूजित श्री चैतन्य पूर्ण कृपा भरौ भुवि भरा रखौ वंदे रूप सनातन रघुवीर। सुदे सुरे सुतराज लक्ष्मी धर्मीश आर्जवदस जदगाद रन्ना मंडलस्नी सदा उत्सव भूत्वा दीनगणे सतो करुणया मंडलपति शनि सदा उत्सव भूत्वा दीनगणेश करुणया कौपीन कंठास्थितौ गोपी भावरसामृताब्दलहरी गोपी भावरसामृताब्दलहरी कल्लो समग्नं वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजुगौ श्रीजी भगो पालक हे राधे हे राधे ब्रज देविके च हे नंद सूना कुतः
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Is it clear to me? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Radha Govinda Goswami Niti Namine Namaste Prabhupada Devam Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Gramya Jananistarine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatharine Vancha Kalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtapraye Svabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naisthiki Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Guruji, give me power cord, there is no battery. Hare Krishna. So, we are in Canto 1. So far, we have completed chapter 6, where we are discussing the conversation between Vyasadeva and Narada Muni. So, Vyasadeva was despondent, and Narada Muni, he came to Vyasadev's ashram, and then he instructed him to compile Srimad Bhagavatam. Vyasadeva was despondent because he could see that people have taken shelter of religious activities. That is how they are degrading themselves. So out of compassion, he was desiring to do good to everyone. Therefore, he was feeling...
DDR class.
So then we have heard how Vyasadeva Narada Muni instructed Vyasadeva that he should compile Srimad Bhagavatam describing the complete glory of the Supreme Lord, which can, upon hearing which, the living entities can attain the love of Godhead. So in that way, the discussion completed in chapter 6. So there, the main point was Vyasadeva had asked about the mysteries of the birth and activities of Narada Muni, that how did he remember the previous birth, that he was able to instruct Narada Muni. So then he gave detailed description about his previous life and his deeds. Having spoken thus, he bade goodbye to Vyasadeva and departed while playing upon his lute, the Veena instrument. And as we know, Narada Muni is a spaceman. He travels all over, and he can travel the three worlds while singing the glory of Krishna. And when Narada Muni sings the glory of Krishna, it gives delight to the afflicted world. Even in his instruction, he told to Vyasadeva that I go around the world singing Krishna's glory, playing on my veena. That therefore, there are two goals. One goal is I play because I like to speak the glories of the Supreme Lord for my satisfaction. I get unlimited joy out of singing the glories of the Lord. Then the second goal is, even those who are engrossed in this material world, upon hearing this past and these glories, they also get happiness. So in that way, Narada Muni, after instructing, he left. Then what happened? Now, because he had instructed him to compile Srimad Bhagavatam, so he is going to do that. Chapter 7, the son of Drona punished. In this 7th chapter, Srila Sutta Goswami is going to discuss about the birth of Maharaj Parikshit, who from the very beginning of his life was devotee of Lord Krishna, and before he left his body, he had the opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, in order to discuss about the birth of Maharaj Parikshit, in this chapter, he is going to discuss about how the son of Dronacharya, Ashwatthama, was punished after he released Brahmastra and after he actually killed the 5 sleeping sons of Draupadi. So in that way, in this chapter, in the beginning, Srila Sutta Goswami, he is going to describe how Vyasadeva compiled Srimad Bhagavatam on the bank of Saraswati. That history, this is a connection from the previous chapter. Narada Muni instructed him to compile Bhagavatam and he left. So after that, Vyasadeva should compile Bhagavatam, no? So that is what is happening now. In the beginning, Saunaka Vacha Nirgate Narade Shuta Bhagavan Badarayana Sutavang Sadavipretam Tatah Kima Karut Vibhu. Here Vibhu is Vyasadeva, a great personality. Nirgate Narade Shuta, O Sutta Goswami. After instructing Vyasadeva, Narada Muni left. Tato kim akarot Vibhu. After that, what did he do? So in that way, it's a very obvious question. Sutta Vacha. ब्रह्मनद्यां सरस्वत्याम् आश्रमः पश्चिमे तटे सम्यप्राश इति प्रोक्तो ऋषीणां सत्रवर्धन Brahmanadyam Saraswatyam. Saraswati Nadi have been defined as Brahma Nadi. Okay, because the Devata of Saraswati is Brahma, Krishna, okay, Supreme Lord. So in that Brahmanadyam, Saraswatyam, Asrama Paschime Tade. On the west coast, on the western bank of river Saraswati, there was an ashram of Vyasadeva. Samyapras iti Bhakta. The name of the ashram is called Samyapras. And this place was famous for Rishinam Satravardhana. Here, the rishis from time to time, they came to perform the sacrifice. Even nowadays also, if you go to some holy places like, Haridwar, even in Vrindavan also, in some ashram, these devotees, early in the morning, they would chant some mantras, they perform their sacrifice. So this place was famous for performance of sacrifice because for many, many years, different rishis, they came there to perform their sacrifice. The spiritual advancement of knowledge, a suitable place and atmosphere are definitely required, Prabhupada is saying. This Samyapras, which was located on the western bank of Saraswati, was very, very favorable for the cultivation of spiritual life. So, Vyasadeva had an ashram. Tasmin so ashrame Vyasa Badari Sandam. Now, the natural beauty of the ashram is being described here. That Badari Sandamandite. Badari is a berry tree. Here in Mayapur, we have that berry tree. When you come, you can see it. So his ashram was surrounded by this berry tree, fruit tree. Asino upasprisya pranidadhu manah swayam. So in one fine morning, Vyasadeva, he took bath in the Saraswati River. Then he did Achaman. And then Pranidadhu Manaha Swayam. Swayam Manaha Pranidadhu means after that he sat on meditation. Now the question can be why did he meditate? Because he was asked to meditate. It was instructed by Srinardan that Samadhi Nanu Smaran Anusmaran Tat Vichastitam. Vyasadeva, you must meditate upon the Supreme Lord's activities. So in that way, so that he will be able to do his task, Narad Muni concentrated his mind in the transcendental place of meditation, the Samyaprash. Then what happened? As he meditated upon transcendence, Bhakti Yogena Manasi Samyak Pranihite Mare Apasyat Purusham Purnam Ayam Cha Tadapasayam. As Vyasadeva meditated on the transcendence, he saw four things. What are those? First of all, as he fixed his mind, as he perfectly meditated, then what happened? Bhakti Yogena Manasi. This is another important point. That not that he just simply meditated upon a light or a sound or without anything. He was just thinking just to focus on the eye, the place between the eyebrows. No, it is not like that. The modern yogis, they teach meditation that now you can bring your consciousness between the two eyebrows, close your eyes, don't think of anything, just meditate on that spot between the eyebrow. Sometimes some of them will say, just meditate on the sky, because sky represents the Supreme Lord. But here it is a bhakti yogena. He fixed his mind on the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. Okay? As a what result, what happens? Samyak pranihite amare. Because he fixed his attention in devotional service, that's how his mind became purified, amare, normal, no material contamination. This gives an indication that when a devotee fixes his mind in Krishna consciousness, that is the fastest way to get our mind purified. This is the power of bhakti actually. There is no other method. Austerity, study of the Veda, giving charity, performing some sacrifice are not as potent as purifying the mind when mind is engaged in Krishna consciousness. Like we have seen in second canto of Bhagavatam, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, he before starts responding to the question of Maharaj Parikshit to narrate Srimad Bhagavatam, he chanted Mangalacharan prayer. He chanted one verse where he says, Kirato Hunandra Pulinda Pulkasa Avir Shumbhaya Vanakashadayo Jannicha Papa Jadapasrasya Shuddhanti Tasmai Prabhavishnavena Jat Apasrasya. Means those devotees of the Lord who have taken complete shelter of the Supreme Lord, their potency can eradicate the sin of those who are born in sinful species, like this Kirata, Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pulkasa. These are all sinful people. They are born with sinful inclinations. But if they take shelter of a devotee of the Lord, then they can get purified. This is the power of bhakti. Huh? So in that way, here Vyasadeva, he fixed his mind in devotional service. Bhakti yogena manasi samyak pranihite, then amare. His mind became purified. Then what happened? Apasyat purusham purna. When the mind became pure, she was able to see Purna Purush, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Mayam cha tad apasayam. And also he could see the Maya. And Maya, who is under his Krishna's control. Not that she is the deluding potency, she is just acting like a mad entity. No, she is under Krishna's control. She is under full control of Krishna. That's what Vyasadeva he saw in meditation. Srila Prabhupada, he writes in the purport, the internal potency or superior energy is also called Maya, but it is spiritual Maya, or energy exhibited in the absolute realm. When one is under the shelter of the internal potency, the darkness of material ignorance is at once dissipated. And even those who are Atmaram, or fixed in trance, take shelter in this Maya or internal energy. Devotional service or bhakti yoga is the function of the internal energy. Thus, there is no place for the inferior energy or material energy, just as there is no place of darkness in the effulgence of the spiritual light. Such internal energy is even superior to the spiritual bliss, attainable in the conception of impersonal Brahman. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita that The impersonal Brahman effulgence is also an emanation from the absolute personality of God, Sri Krishna. The Param Purush cannot be anyone except Sri Krishna himself, as will be explained in the later slokas. So here we need to understand that the Maya Shakti, which is active in the spiritual world, is called Antaranga Shakti or Swarupa Shakti, in the internal energy, you can say. And the Maya, which is active in the material world, is called Bahiranga Shakti, external energy. And this external energy, even though it is in the material world, but she is under fully Krishna, she is under the full control of Krishna. She is not independent. So here, when the devotee that takes shelter of devotional service, actually they are under the shelter of internal energy. Mahatmanas tamam partha daivim prakritimasrita bhajan ke nanya manaso gyanta bhutani. Krishna says, those who are Mahatmas, they take shelter of this internal energy. Now the question can be asked that how one can take shelter of internal energy while staying in the material world? Because the material world is the domain of the external energy, Maya Shakti, deluding energy. The jiva is being deluded. So how can he be under the shelter of internal potency when he is in the domain of external energy? The answer is the very act of Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, the execution of devotional service, Navadha Bhakti, they are actually a manifestation of internal energy. When we take to such practices, then automatically we are under the care of internal potency and the mind will become purified. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada wanted to teach the entire world about the devotional service. And he engaged everybody in Krishna consciousness, understanding that is the only way how the devotees, the people can attain purification. So in the text number 4, we see as Vyasadeva meditated on the devotional service, he could able to see the Supreme Lord, the Maya, which is under full control of Krishna. Then text number 5. Nijaya samhito jiva atmanam trigunatmakam paropi manutenartham tatkritam chabhipadyate. Nijaya sammohita jiva. The living entities are bewildered by the illusory energy. That also Vyasadeva saw. Now we can say, what is the difference between Vyasadeva seeing this and we also know, we also see that the living entities are bewildered by material energy. But our seeing and Vyasadev's seeing, there's a gap of difference. Therefore, he is speaking this, our Sutta Goswami is speaking, Ijaya sammohita jiva. When he says Jaya sammohita, the living entities are bewildered by the external energy, this proves that there is a disparities between Jiva and the Lord's Swarupa. Unfortunately, there are a class of transcendentalists who say this forgetfulness of the Supreme Lord or the illusion of the living entity in this material world is a covering, is a designation, upadhi. When the jiva becomes freed from this ignorance, then he becomes Brahman. He becomes liberated. That is moksha. But that concept is defeated here. Try to understand the science of how the living entity is being covered by the illusory potential of the Supreme Lord. And by the way, we should not be under the misconception that Lord is all powerful. Maybe he is the cause of this illusion for the living entities. No, we should not be misunderstood. We should not misunderstand this concept like this, because in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Krishna says, Nadatya kaschit papam na chaiva sukritam vibhu ajnanena vitam jnanam tenam mihanti jantam. Nadatya kaschit papam na chaiva sukritam. Lord is neither responsible for papa or punya, sin or piety of the living entity, but ajnanena vitam jnana. That means the embodied beings are bewildered because of the ignorance, agyan, that which is superfluous, arising from the concept of me and mine. Okay, that covers the real knowledge of the living entities. So when the living entity's real knowledge is covered, that time is actually bewildered. Ajnana vritam jnana. So this is the point. We can ask the question that Vyasadeva, he meditated upon the transcendence, then he is supposed to see this transcendental personality so that he can write about his pastimes and activities. So why did he see all these things? Because unless he knows the disease, how can he prescribe the medicine? Right? You go to a doctor, doctor first needs to know the disease. So therefore, here he is seeing this. And if we follow Vyasadeva, we can also understand how this external energy is covering the living entities in this world. It's a very important science. So here in this verse, he is saying that Jaya Sammohito Jiva Atmanam Trigunatmakam. Poropi Manute. Trigunatmaka Manute. Poropi. Actually, the living entities are transcendental to the three modes. Srila Jiva Goswami writes very nicely, Jaya Maya Sammohito Jiva. Swam Chidrupatvena Trigunatmaka Ajadat Poropi Atmanam Trigunatmakam Jodam Dehadi Sandhanam Manute. So, the living entities are bewildered by Maya. Even though he is transcendental to the three modes, because of constitutionally being eternal, blissful, and cognizant, still he is covered by this Maya. Try to understand this. Here is in Chidripatvena. Chidripatya means constitutionally Jiva is eternal, blissful, and cognizant. But Prabhupada says, due to the littleness of his existence, he forgets his constitutional position of service to the Supreme Lord and thus entrapped by nescience, avidya, ajnana. So the cause of our imprisonment in this material world is our forgetfulness. And Maya is doing her service. Maya is doing her service. So in that way, we should not falsely accuse the Supreme Lord. So the jiva, under the spell of ignorance, is responsible for his conditional existence. Lord is not responsible. Shruti says, Vaishamya Naigunyena Savikshatva. The Lord neither hates or likes anyone, though he appears to. So therefore here it says, Chidrupatvena. Constitutional living entities are eternal, blissful and cognizant, but because due to the littleness, they are forgetful of their consciousness to serve the Supreme Lord. Tan manana kritam anartham samsaraksha samsara vyasana cha avipadyate. So because he considers this body as his own, and anything related to this body also belongs to him, that's how he suffers the consequences, the distresses of this world. Tad evam jivasya chidrupatyopi jaya sammuhita iti manute. So because he considers himself this body, therefore he is thinking now he is here suffering. Actually, there is no suffering in the real constitutional position. Okay, so then Srila Jiva Goswami continues saying that Lord is indifferent. Lord is indifferent because this Maya, who is in this world deluding the living entities, she knows that she cannot delude the Supreme Lord. That's why she is ashamed of coming in front of the Supreme Lord. She doesn't come. In Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime, we have seen Maya Devi as Parvati, when Gauranga Mahaprabhu appeared before her, she said, I have been given this thankless task, I cannot come before you. Please allow me to have your darshan of your beautiful pastime. So in that way, the Maya Devi, who is in this material world is her domain. Srila Jiva Goswami writes, Sri Bhagavan cha anadita eva bhaktayam prapanchadhikarinya tasyam dakshinyam lagnitum no shaknoti. So this Maya, who is very skillfully active in this material world, is actually a devotee of the Lord. She is a devotee of the Lord. And Lord wants us to remain afraid of the Maya. Lord desires the jivas to become favorable to Krishna out of fear to Maya. Therefore, he teaches us in Bhagavad Gita, Daivi Hisab no Maya. It's very difficult to surmount the Maya Shakti of the Lord. But the problem is, we are not afraid of Maya. See, this is a very crucial point for us to understand in this today's lesson, that unless the living entities are fearful of this external energy, then external energy will keep on binding us. That's why our relationship with this material world have been since time immemorial. And the moment we understand that this is a very dangerous thing for us, then we maintain a respectable distance, then she will leave us. We know there are many instances, but from Prabhupada's life, we can take this example. One day, some devotees saw Prabhupada was very humbly praying before the deity. And devotees felt like, Prabhupada is praying to the Lord like this. What happened? So then after Prabhupada, came back to his room, and the devotees asked Prabhupada, looks like you are very fervently praying to the Lord this morning. And why did you do that? Prabhupada said, I prayed to the Lord, so the Lord will rescue me. I'll not fall down in Maya. Huh? You see, Prabhupada means actually he's teaching us. There is no question of Prabhupada being swallowed by Maya. Maya cannot touch Prabhupada. But this is the mood. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after taking sannyas, he was not at all coming near any woman. Why? Because he's teaching us that we should understand what ashram we are in and what is our service to the Supreme Lord. And she is also doing her service to the Supreme. Those who are thinking this body as me and mine, anything related to this body, then she is actually binding them. So, Lord teaches us that we should be fearful of Maya and take shelter of Krishna consciousness. In this situation, whether we are in whatever ashram, whether Brahmacharya ashram, Grihastha ashram, Vanaprastha ashram, Sannyasa ashram, in any ashrama, we should be fearful of Maya Shakti of the Supreme Lord. Then what will happen? She will release us. Unless we are afraid of Maya, then Maya will do her job and we will be troubled in this world. Therefore, it is said that Paroti Manutena Tatkritam Chavipadyate. Tatkritam, Maya Kritam. This Maya is producing different types of emotions in the jiva and they are being bound. Prabhupada writes, the Lord does not interfere with the task of the illusory energy. See? It's very simple. Lord allows her to do her task. But at the same time, Lord is saying, hey, my dear entities, be afraid of her. Huh? Because such performances of the illusory energy are also necessary for reformation of the conditioned soul. As an affectionate father does not like his children to be chastised by another agent, yet he puts his disobedient children under the custody of a severe man just to bring them to order. The question can be asked, right? Okay, if Lord knows that she is binding, she is so dangerous for us, then why she is there? Why can't Lord do something? What he is going to do? You are not listening to him. He has told you. You perform sadhana bhakti. If you don't perform, then she is there to act upon you, to get on your case. Like, that's why Prabhupada giving the example. A son does not listen to his father. Then what father can do? He said, okay, even though I don't want to chastise you, but because I want to bring you to the correct line, therefore, for some time, I need to give you in the hand of a severe man who can chastise you and bring you back to the consciousness. So therefore, this Maya is also necessary. It's not that, Maya is the, why did he created this Maya? Maya is for our good, because we are disobedient child of the Supreme Lord. They are obedient child, the Supreme Lord. Maya does not do anything to them. We are disobedient. That's why this Maya is utilized to bring us back to Krishna. Both the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living being are undoubtedly qualitatively one, But the Lord is the controller of the illusory energy, whereas the living entity is controlled by the illusory energy. See, there's a difference between Jiva and the Supreme Lord. Therefore, in this connection, we can understand that Jiva can never become the Supreme Lord at any time. Okay, so Srila Sutta Goswami, he continues. He says, Anarthoposamam saksad bhakti yogam adhakshare lokasyayanate vidvans chakre sattvota sanghita. Anarthoposamam saksad. Anartha. The living entities suffering in this world are not desirable. These unwanted miseries in this world are called anarthas. No artha. It has got no use for us. But anartha upasamam sakshat, bhakti yugam adhaksare. When we are engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord, these unwanted miseries are automatically vanquished. They are eradicated. People don't know this. Lokasya janata. General mass of people, they are not aware of this. Therefore, chakre sattvata samhita. Thus, Vyasadeva, he mercifully, he compiled Sattvata Samhita, which is called Srimad Bhagavatam. So the Prabhupada writes, revival of the government, affection, or love of Godhead does not depend on the mechanical system of hearing and chanting, but it is solely and wholly depend on the causeless mercy of the Lord. When the Lord is fully satisfied with the sincere effort of the devotee, he may endow him with his loving transcendental service. But even with the prescribed forms of hearing and chanting, there is at once mitigation of the superfluous and unwanted miseries of the material existence. Such mitigation of material affection does not wait for development of transcendental knowledge. Rather, knowledge is dependent on devotional service for the ultimate realization of the Supreme Truth. It's a very important point. In the next verse, actually, Sutta Goswami says, Nasyambai Suyamanaya. Now he compares Srimad Bhagavatam. So one of the activities in devotional service is to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So here, as Srila Prabhupada commented that if we are mechanically dedicated to the process of chanting and hearing, that will not help. But on the other hand, unless the real knowledge is awakened in the jiva, he will also not gain Supreme Lord's mercy. See, now the question can be asked, how the real knowledge can be awakened? The real knowledge can be awakened through devotional service. Therefore, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, while commenting, he says, Jasyam vai Suya Mahanaya. Anyone who hears, he can attain so much. Then what to speak of one who has understood it? Then what to speak of the benefit attained by someone who is in knowledge and he is distributing it to others? Like today is this Bhadra Purnima, and today we had been seeing so many different temples and devotees in their individual capacity are glorifying Bhagavatam and trying to distribute Bhagavatam, because it's a very important day for us to bring this knowledge across the world. Because this Bhagavatam can save this entire world. No other activity in this world can rescue the misdirected civilization, which is at the present moment undergoing unwanted miseries. Even though we are the creator of these unwanted miseries, but we do not know how to solve this. Here is a solution. Anarthokom sakshat bhakti yogam adakshari. These people are misdirected, they do not know. Therefore, my dear devotees, those who are coming to this class, it is our humble request. You also take up this responsibility. Whatever you have learned from Srimad Bhagavatam, try to share it with others. It's very, very important. And here, with realization. Like for example, today we discussed that normally living entities are not afraid of Maya, the external energy of the Supreme Lord. But a devotee is extremely cautious. If we are always being conscious of this and following devotional service, then we are rescued. So therefore it is saying that this Samhita was compiled by Vyasadeva for rescuing the conditioned souls from these unwanted miseries. And Jasyam vai Suyamanayam Krishna Paramapurushe Bhakti Utpadyate Punsam Shoka Moha Bhaya. See, this is the benefit. Simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, that is Srimad Bhagavatam, the feeling for loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. Shoka. Why do people lament? Because they have got something and they have lost it, then thinking of what they had received now no more with them, they lament. And moho, what I have now, I may lose it. I'm very much attached to it. That's why we are in illusion. It's mine, right? And why? Thinking of the future, we are afraid of our situation. If we just simply give oral reception to Srimad Bhagavatam, there will be no question of past and future fear or lamentation. Even while in this moment, we will not be illusioned because of having perfect knowledge. This Bhagavatam is fully equipped with giving us the real understanding of our situation in this material world. Therefore, when we read this Srimad Bhagavatam, this Bhagavatam alone can extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fear. So, why this hearing have been given so much importance? You see, when somebody is sleeping, if somebody comes to attack him, only this ear can save him, right? Somebody is sleeping. If somebody is approaching to kill him, maybe he will hear some noise and he will wake up. So this sense, this ear can save a sleeping soul. Similarly, the soul which is sleeping in ignorance, they don't have any knowledge about Krishna. Just by simply hearing from a bona fide spiritual master, they will be awakened. That's why this hearing process is very, very important. Jasyam vai Suryamaya. Because simply by hearing, what will happen? One's loving devotional service to Uncle Krishna will be awakened. This is the power of hearing Bhagavatam. Therefore, Prabhupada is saying, everyone is full of lamentation at every moment. He is after the mirage of illusory things, and he is always afraid of his supposed enemy. These are the primary symptoms of material disease. And it is definitely suggested herein that simply by hearing the message of Srimad Bhagavatam, one gets attachment for the Supreme Personality of Godhead Sri Krishna, and as soon as this is affected, the symptoms of the material disease disappears. So, as in translation Prabhupada says, simply by giving up oral reception to Srimad Bhagavatam, loving devotional service to Krishna is awakened. Actually, service to the Supreme Lord will be given to us by the Supreme Lord by watching our sincerity. If we are sincere, then Krishna will help us to understand this, or he will engage us in a devotional service. Then, next, Sasamhitam Bhagavatim Kritvanukamya Chatmajam Shukam Adhyapayamasa Nivritte Niratam Muni. Sasamhitam Bhagavatim. This Bhagavad Samhita was compiled by Srimad Vyasadeva. The great sage Vyasadeva, after compiling Srimad Bhagavatam, what he said? And Kritvanu Kramya Chatmajam. He revised this. And then he taught his disciple, his son, Atmajam, Sukam Adhyapayamas, Nibritta Nirtam, even though he was a self-realized soul from the beginning. Sukadev Goswami was a self-realized soul from the beginning of his birth. But Srila Vyasadeva, he, after compiling Srimad Bhagavatam, he taught it to him after revising it. After revising it, this shows that Bhagavatam was not written at a certain time. It is eternal. He revised it. See, if Srila Prabhupada's word, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he gives a very beautiful commentary on this verse to understand that Bhagavatam is eternal. Many people, they think, oh, it was written by Vyasadeva, he is a rishi. There are so many other rishis. Why not listen to other rishis? Try to understand. He is saying, Prathamataha Swayam Bhakti, Prathamata Swayam Sankipta Bhaktikam Kritva Paschat Naraduko Desat Anukramena Sri Bhagavat Bhakti Ka Pradhanataya Anukramya Sangsudhetyartha. That means initially the synopsis of Srimad Bhagavatam was given. It was there. Okay? And then afterwards, under the instruction of Narada Muni, he actually revised it. So, Vyasadeva, being an incarnation of the Supreme Lord, this Bhagavatam is coming from him. So, initially it was in a shortcut form. It was the synopsis of Srimad Bhagavatam available. There also, the devotional service was stressed. But after getting instruction from Narada Muni, he gave more emphasis and he more elaborately explained the bhakti in Srimad Bhagavatam. That is the revised portion. That this Bhagavatam which we have got in our hand, this is the second edition, you can say. This is the revised portion. Not that it was not there. Therefore, those who say, sometimes some people will argue with you, oh, Bhagavatam was just written a few hundred years ago. Why should we follow this scripture? No, you can say, we can refer to this verse. Kritvanukramya chapmaja. Kritvanukramya, anukramya. Actually, this was again revised. Originally it was there. Okay? So in that way, Srila Prabhupada writes, Srimad Bhagavatam is a science for following the path of Nivritti Marga. The path of Pravritti Marga was considered by Narada, what was condemned by Narada. That is the natural inclination for all conditioned souls. The themes of Srimad Bhagavatam is the cure of the materialistic disease of the human being, or stopping completely the pangs of material existence. So, in the beginning of chapter 7, we heard that after Narada Muni left the ashram of Vyasadeva, Vyasadeva, after taking bath in Saraswati river, he performed achaman and sat down, meditating on the Supreme Lord in devotional service. Then he saw Supreme Lord and Maya, which is under his control. Then he saw how the living entities are being bound by this illusory energy. And the fourth thing, also he found the solution. Therefore, he compiled this Bhagavatam, and at the end, he understood that this Bhagavatam was already there in a synopsis form, but second time, under the instruction of Narada Muni, he revised it. The current edition of Srimad Bhagavatam is revised form after Vyasadeva received instruction from Narada Muni. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So, any question or comment, my dear devotees?